So, first video on the channel. As I'm sure you can tell by the title, we're going to be restoring my Norton 3DB fly press. As I'm sure you saw in the footage, it's looking pretty sorry for itself. It's sat outside for a while, so it's got pretty rusty. It's not seized, but it's nearly there. So I'm going to start by tearing it down, looking at the moving parts, check for wear, and then we'll chuck all that in a bucket, get that soaking in some rust remover. And then I'll move on to the body and the frame. Not sure about what I'm going to do with this wood. Might be able to use it, might not, but we'll see when we get there. So yeah, let's get started. So, I've got it all stripped apart, no nasty surprises, everything looks good. Show you in there. I presume this X is for showing the amount of wear. Doesn't look too worn in there, so that's good. The screw looks all good, no missing threads. I've got to get this off there, but give it a good crank and it should go. All the blocks, they look good. You see that's got the X on there as well. Get these soaking in a bucket of rust remover, get everything removed, get them all looking nice and new. I'm going to move on to getting this body off of the frame now, so I can see what this wood looks like, and then it should be easier to start removing the paint. Cool. So, finally got all the bolts out. Plan is, waddle it onto the table and I hope it doesn't end up on the floor. Fly press didn't end up on the floor. We got the two separated now. Everything's apart. Just looking at this wood, it's pretty rotted. So that's gonna go in the bin, find some new stuff, get this all cleaned up and start stripping some paint. I'm gonna be trying this Geno light, put all the loose parts in a bucket and then let them soak, and if it works well I'll be using it on everything else. Probably gonna have to wire wheel a lot of stuff, but we'll see how good this does. So I was about to say the rust remover hasn't worked very well, because on the body, as you can see, it's still pretty rusty. But the parts that were submerged in the bucket have literally gone right back to the steel. You can see the line where it was submerged. So the plan is fill the bucket up some more, get them completely submerged, leave them another night, and then for the body we're going to have to get the wire wheel on the grinder after I've stripped the paint, and then I can wire wheel pretty much the whole thing, as I'm sure there's rust under here as well. So the stop is pretty stuck on the screw, so this is what I got set up to try and get it off. That one there, bit of leverage. I realised that the stop isn't supposed to come off this way, it's supposed to come off this way where the handle was, because it obviously gets too tight and it's not threaded all that way really. I thought it would slide off once it got to there, but obviously not, so we're going to take it off the right way this time. So I got my air paint stripper gun. Hopefully that'll get all the flaky paint off, and then we'll go over it with a wire wheel on the grinder, and that should get it ready to paint. That went well, all the flaky paint is off. Right back to the casting. We're going to go over all these rusty bits now with the wire wheel, and it should be ready to paint. So I'm going to be painting it dark green with this Hammerite. I know Hammerite might not be the best paint to use, but it's good enough. It saves a lot of time having to not etch prime it and everything, so hopefully it comes out looking good. So I did think about rollering it, but there's a lot of tight to get spaces, so it probably won't save me that much time, so it's not worth getting the roller and the tray out and everything, especially on the body part. The roller won't really get in much places, so I'm just going to brush it on. Hopefully it gets smooth enough. The cast is pretty rough anyway, so it's never going to be smooth. So yeah. Everything's now painted, dried, apart from the balls and the handle, but they're going to be a different colour. So I'm going to do them once they're on, once it's all back together. But to get it back on the base, I need to change this wood. Obviously the old wood is rotten, can't be used. So I've got this new wood that I had lying around, so we're just going to copy, just basically use these as templates to copy exactly what I need to do to make it fit over every bit of the casting. I'm not too sure how I'm going to actually do this step, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. Struggled a bit, but the wood's in. Doesn't look too great. It's a soft wood, really bright. So I'm going to be staining it with this dark brown. That should tone it down a bit, so it goes with the green a bit better and doesn't look like a cheap soft wood. Cool. Right, so the stain's dry and in. The wood looks 10 times better than it did before. Really goes with the green well. So ready to put the body back on to the stand and get it all bolted down. Fly press is on. Got all my bolt holes lined up. Took a bit of a scuff, but I just touched that up. So I'll get my bolts out now, get it bolted down, and then we can start reassembling. That's all the parts out and cleaned up. I had to rinse them with some water, but it's done. Right, so we're ready to reassemble. I've got all my bolts zinc primed and oil to hand so I can oil everything as it goes back together. So let's get started. So it just looks like there might have been some debris from where I obviously stripped all the paint, so I'll just wipe that off and then I'll re-oil it and then sort of clean it as I go. Got everything oiled and ready to go, so I'll start with the split nut. That go on first. Make sure I get the threads lined up. Like that. So I'm using oil and not grease because I've seen people online use both. Obviously not both at the same time, or some people have. But someone said online that oil's better because you're less likely to get like grit or swarf stuck. It's less likely to pick it up, and then obviously if you've got swarf or grit in there, it's going to be wearing it away quicker, or wearing like big grooves into it. So I'm doing just oil. Hopefully that's the right thing. Yeah, so we can wind this on now. Just do everything finger tight first, and then I can adjust everything so we got no play. Yeah, so play looks not much back and forth play. I think I could tighten that up a bit more. Yeah, no, not much play at all that way. Got side to side play, definitely. Definitely these need tightening up. Wind that back a little bit. all together now, working smoothly. Everything's adjusted how it should be. Just a few more bits to paint. I've got to paint the 2 weights, the handle, and this stop. They're going to be red. Obviously you want the rotating parts to be a bright colour so you don't clip yourself around the head with it. So let's get my paintbrush out. Right, so that's it. I'm finished. I'm really happy with how it came out. I think the green and the red look great together and everything went pretty smooth. Obviously, this being my first video, any feedback would be appreciated. And if you want to see more blacksmithing, machine restoration, fabrication videos, then make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching.